Here's the top 10 mistakes that I see self-managing landlords make. And I want to discourage you from doing some of these things. So, sounds sort of funny, but exposing yourself and exposing your privacy. What I see is I've seen self-managers have tenants drop checks off at their house. They'll use their personal cell phone or their home mailing address as a mailing address for tenants to send checks to and stuff. So highly discourage you from having that. You can have simple things like a Google phone number. There's all kinds of different, cheap, inexpensive phone numbers that you can give to them that, if need be, can be changed. PO boxes are fine for mailing. There's all different ways you can do that, but you need to protect your privacy. Another thing is, I hate to say it, but having a bleeding heart. This is a tough business. You need to treat everybody the same. And having a bleeding heart in this business will lose you money, unfortunately. It doesn't mean you can't have empathy for people. You just can't have sympathy for people. So their story, their down and out story is, unfortunately, is not your concern. You need to protect your investment. And that's the only thing that you need to be concerned of. Another thing is not following your lease. Sometimes people have a great lease put in place, but they don't follow it. So in other words, if they break a rule and there's a fine for it or anything, I'll let them go on this. I won't charge them late fees. I'll waive that. It's a terrible idea to do, and it's something that you need to enforce consistently. Another thing on that same guideline is they're too slow to evict. I can't tell you how many people come to us and the tenant's 2, 3, 4 months behind, and they promise to pay, and they keep kicking the can down the road. You need to have strict guidelines in there that if they're not paid by the 15th of the month, the 20th of the month, 30th of the month, whatever, they go 1 month behind, whatever it is, that is what you need to stick to, and then you need to pull the trigger and you need to evict them. Taking referrals. I know that sounds, a little bit unusual, but you have maybe somebody you casually know, and they're like, "Oh, my brother's looking for a place," and you're like, "Oh, they should be good," and you don't run them through background checks. You don't, do your due diligence. That can just lead to an incredibly awkward situation and a very difficult one to get out of. So be very careful with that. Common thread here is treat everybody the same, whether you know them, whether a referral, anything. They need to go through background checks, and you need to check them out thoroughly. Better off to just say no in the beginning than have a problem down the road. So security deposits. One is, I see people that don't take security deposits. I see people that don't take enough security deposits. That's one aspect of it. And the other aspect is not understanding the regulation of when it has to be returned and what is the guideline. How long do you have to return your security deposit? You need to make sure you understand that. And I'm talking about after the tenant moves out. Ways of taking payments. This day and age, fraud is a major concern. There's good ways and bad ways of taking payments. Personal checks nowadays, I don't see any reason to be taking a personal check. There's electronic ACHs. With credit cards, you have to be concerned that they can challenge it up to, I believe, 2 years later. They can challenge a credit card charge. You need to have good sources of payments. ACH, direct deposit's great. Zelle is great. There's some good ways to take payments that reduce your risk. Property inspections. Can't tell you how many people that, maybe they're absentee owners or, whatever, and they haven't been in the property in years. Or, hey, they pay their rent on time, haven't been in the property in years. This is a delicate thing because, I have people go the other way and they want every 30 days, they want an inspection in it. You're going to drive good tenants nuts and drive them out drive them out of the building. And you don't want to do that either. There's ways to get around this. You can do, anytime there's a service call, you can train your vendors in order to do a little mini inspection. Say, hey, does it look like they're taking care of the place? Did you notice any animals if you're not accepting pets? things of that nature. But you should be doing a full inspection at least on an annual basis. So something to keep in mind there. Another great thing is rekeyable locks. Safety and security is a huge issue when it comes to tenants, and you need to understand that you're not, exposing yourself to liability that you shouldn't be. Rekeyable locks, quick set locks. They have the smart key system. There's other systems out there as well that are great. But when we're turning a property, we put it on, one particular key so that our vendors can have access, and anybody, our showing agents, everybody can have access, things like that. But when that tenant moves in, we rekey that lock. So only that tenant and us have a copy of that key. You need to keep that in mind and make sure that you're handling that properly. The other thing is lienable utilities. You need to understand which utilities should go in the tenant's name and which ones should not. So it doesn't mean that you're paying them directly, but what it does mean is, ones like here locally, we have, electric and gas in most cases are not lienable. So in other words, if they don't pay it, the utility company will just shut it off. But there's other ones that are lienable. Those types of utilities you need to be paying and then passing it through to the tenant. You can't mark it up, you can't do anything like that, but you can create sometimes even like utility packages, different things of that nature in order to help protect yourself, to make sure that those lienable utilities you don't find out aren't being paid 3 months after the fact, and now you got a $500-700 bill that is liened to your property. So hopefully those are some thoughts that you can keep in mind and help you avoid some common mistakes that people make.